Livingston Hibs. Hibs winning 1-0 thanks to a Martin Boyle goal. Hibs not playing well, but winning.
Yes, nobody was playing well in that game. It was an absolute. I don't want to be a pitch guy. I really try not to be these kind of guy, but my fucking word, it was an absolute state. And obviously it was a sideways rain, and it looked like the sort of the plastic was flooded and had all the puddle bits. It was an absolute farce. I showed you on the telly on Sports Scene, and then the camera they were using for the game kept getting all the water on it. Looked like someone had spunked on a screen. I couldn't watch it. It was like the rain everywhere. I was like, oh, this is pure Livingston. This is. And I was saying this before. I like it with Livingston. I don't like plastic surfaces, but I like Livingston having one. It's almost like part of their identity.
It's a character thing.
Yeah, and I like that. I don't like Kilmarnock having it because they're like a big traditional club. So I don't think they should have it. But Livingston, I like it. It's like a problem that you're going to have to deal with when you go there, and it was like as bad a time as you're going to get. And Hibs were rotten. The first 20 minutes, Hibs were really bad. They were targeting Rory Whittaker a lot because we were trying to get the ball, so they were pressing him, and he kept on trying to check inside, and he was getting in trouble quite a lot, and Yuan was coming inside. He's not the best player to have in front of you when you're a young winger, so I think Hibs really needed to protect it a bit more, and that happened in the second half, and I think he came on a bit, but I quite like Whittaker, but he's getting a tough time, and he's being a lot of trust, and teams are, like I said against Aberdeen, teams are all targeting him, so he's getting because there's nobody else to play right back, so he's getting it looks like he's getting a real education out there, and he's no, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I'm saying he's something to problem solve and try and work it all out. But I was listening to the game. Stuart Lovell was on the comms on Hibs TV. I never noticed this before. I don't know, it's because he was on Hibs TV. So not like on Sports Scene or anything like that, not on the BBC and that. He was scathing. He fucking hated Livingston. and he was like slacking.
Come on, captain.
He was giving Rory Whittaker loads of stick as well. Like he's 16, man. He kept on going back to him and slagging off, and he was slagging off the game, he was slagging off the ref. It was really, really like, wow, this guy is. I enjoyed it. Like it was a good laugh. But there was one point when they were like Livingston got 10 passes, and he was like, 10 passes. That's the most passes they've had this season. It's a quote like that. I was like, wow, okay, you're meant to like Livingston. But and then so Livingston were getting it, but they just don't have anything. Yeah. They don't have any good players. They had Newbley and Anderson on the bench, so they were playing with Shinnie and Pittman behind Guthrie.
Newbley didn't even come on. No, Newbley a 1-0 defeat.
Aye,
that's saying a lot, that, isn't it?
Well, I think that. So, and then eventually Hibs worked out the best way to get in. They found like an avenue to hurt Livingston. It was just doing their Hibs left hand side with Brandon. He was at a torrid time with Tavares. Tavares had him on toast, and he was lucky to stay on the park. He should have got booked, and then he had a foul right after it. But he never got booked for the first one, which was a clear booking, and he only got booked for that, and then they actually had to sub him off. And Tavares was the best attacking player on the pitch, which I was really impressed with in that weather. On that, you don't look at this guy. You don't think he's going to be it, especially what his biggest problems before were like weakness. And like, when he was like looked like a competition winner.
Yeah.
That was like, so you didn't fans, but he was really good. His touch is great, and Hibs were using him a lot. Getting in the left hand side, and he was the really only chances that Hibs had. And the goal is it's a lovely ball for Newell. He spreads it across, and then Ewan comes inside, and then he tries to play it in. It takes a deflection, and it lands to the ball, and it's a really, really nice finish. Just tucks it away at the bottom corner.
It is a really nice finish. Oh, yeah, sorry. So we watched the Sports Scene analysis of this game earlier, and some quite bizarre punditry from a couple of guys who we generally think are all right, and James McFadden and Neil McCann, especially Neil McCann, both of us quite like listening to McCann. And like saying that should have been a penalty to Livingston for Guthrie. Guthrie clearly initiates a contact with Neil. He sticks his leg right up in front of Neil.
All three of them, but it was all very much like it was an open and shut case.
Yeah.
I was like, don't look at this speaker. Like, this doesn't look like a penalty at all. And when I was watching it, Lovell pointed out right away, he's like, it's never a penalty. When he was doing it, and I found that bizarre. But then they would also started saying that Marshall had the game of his life. Then they put the highlights on, and he made 2 saves.
They showed 3 clips, and one of them wasn't even a save.
Yeah. And I was like, what's going on? Well, they make it sound like, don't get me wrong, Livingston, they really put it in. Like, there's no lack of effort in that. And in the second half, they were asking the questions. You know exactly what it was like. It was aerial bombardment into the box, and they had a huge chance that Marshall saves, and it's a massive save, and it's a really, really good save. But then the other one they show is just like a routine save from a 22 yard out shot. That's it. That's all he's done, because they just don't have any creative players. And like Shinnie and Pittman, I think Pittman's best days are behind them. And Andrew Shinnie's, I don't know if this is fair. I always think that Andrew Shinnie should do more for Livingston. Like, similar, like what I was saying about Armstrong, is that Kilmarnock, since he's the only one who, everything would go through him.
Yeah.
I think that should happen with Shinnie.
He is quite old now. He's 34.
Is he? Essentially that old? That makes it. I mean, you shouldn't have to rely on him then. That's your problem. We've discovered it. We've discovered the problem. But so and then Hibs held it pretty well. Fish was good. There was goal disallowed, but it was miles offside for Venny. But the bounce it takes is absolutely mental on the pitch. Like, I was like, if that had counted, I'd be like, that is brutal. But like, if that's how you lose a goal, because it's nowhere near. It bounced right over, like the ball bounces right across the goal. So it's a up the road job, get out of there. And then they had a penalty that was bizarre with the VAR decision at the end. Like, this is what's happened in football. This is the other problem with VAR is I was watching it with my mate on the telly, and we celebrated like a goal when it never, because it was in the last minute, and he went over to the screen, and then they saw that it was offside, and he gave offside, and we were celebrating like a goal. That's what happens now. Now I celebrate refereeing decisions. That's what's going on. I noticed when I done it. I was like, fucking yes, because it was in the last minute. But Paul Hanlon, because it was a handball. But it's obviously they sent him over to check the penalty. Are they doing that because obviously they needed time to do the lines?
Yeah.
And they're thinking, well, why waste time in case that's wrong? At least he can go and do that. That's the only way I can maybe make sense of that.
I don't know what it is, because sometimes I see games and it's like, that looked a really tight offside, and you see the replay of it without the lines. It's like, oh, that is really tight. You're thinking, okay, this is going to take a while. And then it's like, decision comes back really quickly. All right. And then other times it takes fucking ages. So this is one of them.
And then and then they were giving it, obviously, they were checking for a penalty, because it would have been a penalty if it was the offside. But I was like, it's offside. Why are we going through this? And then I'm like, what's going on? No, you think like they figured something out, and they're gonna fuck.
Some sort of shenanigans is coming here.
I think so. And then, but they got away, and it's Montgomery will be happy basically because in recent weeks they've not folded, holding on to Leeds, which is obviously a major attribute over his opening weeks at Hibs. That was an issue, and he seems to have worked through that. And it's just a huge period for Hibs because they've got quote unquote good fixtures. It was a good period of fixtures where you would need to pick up, you'd be expecting to pick up a lot of points, but there are loads, about 4 away games on the trot, and we beat Dundee and Livingston, and then you go to St Johnstone and Ross County. Even if you can get another 4 points out of that, then you go into the derby, and then Hibs have only lost at Ibrox and Parkhead in the last 14 games or something. There's loads and loads of draws, but Hibs don't really lose. They don't really lose any games.